Atlanta-based UPS has quietly cut nearly 40,000 jobs so far in 2025 across the country.
Yeah, and one of its biggest customers, Amazon, has also cut thousands of jobs here. 11 Alive's Doug Richards looking at what's shaking up the package industry.
Trucks still regularly exit and enter the busy UPS warehouse off of I-85 in DeKalb County. But with way fewer employees and way fewer supervisors at the company's Sandy Springs headquarters. UPS announced it reduced 34,000 jobs in its operational workforce this year, plus another 14,000, mostly management jobs. The company says it expects to save $3.5 billion by the end of this year to create a more efficient operating model that was more responsive to market dynamics.
And so you knew something was coming. I don't know if people knew it was going to be the scale that was announced today.
Emory marketing professor Doug Bowman says UPS and its one-time biggest customer, Amazon, are both adapting to markets changed by artificial intelligence. Amazon told investors it has reduced 14,000 jobs this year to make the company leaner and more cost-effective. Doug Richards, 11 Alive News.
A lot of these companies are gaining some efficiencies when it comes to AI. But they are lying to an extent when they say, well, it's just efficiencies when it's AI. Part of the reasons why they're lying is because, it looks good when they say that to investors or when they report earnings. And again, some of it is growth when it comes to AI, but they look better because it seems like that they're creating a more efficient business model, which then Wall Street and the investors and the analysts reward them with that. Contrary to popular belief, and we don't get into the whole dynamics of people losing their jobs and all of that. Contrary to popular belief, I was explaining this on the Millionaire Morning Show, and I said that when they cut jobs and increase efficiencies, you guys look at it and say, oh my God, I can't believe it. There's so many people that's losing their jobs. They don't look at it like that. They look at it and they say, well, the company is becoming more profitable, more efficient. They're not using a smaller margin model, which you deliver Amazon packages, but they increase the value of the company by becoming more efficient and then at the same time needing less people to get things done. And that's in addition to the fact that they had ratified that contract last year where a whole bunch of people was like, oh my God, everybody's going to be running up the bag over there at UPS. That's not how that's translating. Now it's a little bit different. And what's happening is companies are looking to do more with less people. And then ultimately that's going to affect your job prospects when you're looking to work for some of these locations. That's just the truth. That's the raw, uncut truth. It can't get any more real than that.
What's going on at UPS is they are making progress and they're executing on their plan. And their plan really is to create a network that can not only handle but thrive in an ever-changing environment. And that change is being driven by e-commerce. It's being driven by the uncertainty around tariffs. And what they've been able to do is increase productivity through technology, whether it's automation or AI. And that also, they were stepping away from business from Amazon. They noted on their morning call that they're 3 quarters into a 6-quarter glide down of Amazon business. And the reason why they want to move away from Amazon business, it tends to be lower margin, lower yielding packages. But that's not to say that.
So basically they're using more effort to deliver more packages, but it's not profitable. But they'd rather focus their business on things that's more profitable and generate more revenue instead of just having a whole bunch of people doing a whole bunch of things.
They don't want to totally walk away from Amazon because their return business is a good business for them. And we're seeing, the success in the numbers. And, going into the quarter, I think investors were cautious or had low expectations. And management kind of exceeded those with the results. And their outlook really shows us that, expectations for the fourth quarter in 2026, at least as it relates to, sell-side analyst consensus, is probably a bit low and it needs to move higher.
They're always going to reward you when you cost cut. Anytime you cost cut, but then you increase business or you increase margins, the market is always going to reward you. And that's why I keep telling y'all that y'all need to be a lot more aggressive in your investments. Whenever you go out and you buy something, and this is just my rule of thumb and my philosophy, for everything that I can buy or everything that I decide to buy that I don't need, that I just buy as a want, I allocate just as much money towards buying something that I'm investing in.
Lee, can you get more into the cuts that we were talking about? 34,000 job cuts. Where were they seen, and what kind of, let's say, year-over-year cost savings does it expect in 2025 from all of this?
Yeah, so what they're trying to do, their overall cost savings, which includes the headcount reductions, they're looking to get $3.5 billion in cost savings this year. They've done around 2.2 billion of that so far. And some of the reductions are driven by, they offered early retirement for some of their drivers. They said they've had pretty good pickup with that. And that payoff should be about a year from what it costs. Cost something 175 to 180 million dollars, and they mentioned on the call that it will take about a year to make those costs back up. So it really should be paying for itself. And they're closing a lot of facilities. So they've closed something like 95 facilities so far. And that's being driven by they don't need the network they had when they were really handling a lot of Amazon business. And now that, like I mentioned earlier, they're walking away from that business. They're kind of reconfiguring their network. And they're also, as I mentioned, they're increasing overall automation. They noted on their call that they've added automation.
When they cut costs, right? Let's say, for example, they say, all right, so Amazon was a very, very, very low margin business, so we was just breaking even. Well, when you start to pare down facilities and decide not to do that, you need less people. Now you need less facilities. Now you need less infrastructure. You save a ton of money. I would imagine that they probably saving well over $3.5 billion in a year.
Around 35 more facilities, and about 66% of their packages touch these automated facilities, which is around 300 basis points more than was last year. And that number is just going to continue as management makes more inroads at modernizing their facilities.
Basically, what they're telling you is that everybody is in a race. And when I say everybody, I mean everybody. Everybody is basically in a race to try to cut costs, try to limit the amount of people that they have to hire. More people are doing more with less, and they're also using natural attrition. I remember earlier last year or late last year where we were having a conversation about UPS drivers and they was getting pissed. Was that earlier this year? And they were basically getting pissed saying, don't take the buyout, don't do this, don't do that. Well, now it's a situation where people have to figure out whether or not it's going to make sense for them to take a buyout or if they're going to end up laid off. Still need delivery. You still need to make sure that you use the services. So, there may be somebody that's safe, especially, if you unionize and you have a lot of seniority, you probably going to be the last person that they think about as far as laying off. But the first or the last person in, for first people to get laid off, I think that the industry is continuing to correct itself. The job growth is going to come from new investments and new things. And it's also, that's a conversation that we also need to have when it comes to colleges, people going to trade schools. When you go into certain careers, are you guaranteed, you know what I'm saying, to be able to be successful and stuff like that? So it's a lot going into it. But I'm going to keep y'all in the loop. Make sure y'all tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description. Teach Hanley, 40% off your first order, 20% off for life. I love y'all. I appreciate you. I'm going to holler at you guys later. Peace.